Shall we talk about actual LCS teams for a little bit?
Yes. I mean, the obvious one to start with is, let's just start here. If you're underwhelmed, and I was mega underwhelmed last year by Cloud9, Monty, in my opinion, they should have walked both LCS titles and actually, for real, should actually have had a chance at MSI and Worlds to do something. But you saw people like M&S blew up internationally, the team turned to shit, and obviously they just blew summer completely. I'll tell you what, I wasn't the biggest fan of keeping Fudge, but mate, this rebuild, it looked like at the offseason, that's almost the best sign you could have made, is just put Jojopyun middle. And when you've done it, mate, this looks fucking good now. Like, this team should be the best again. Why shouldn't they be? They look fucking mega.
Yeah, I think part of it is that, so first off, they're playing in NA. And, you know, the teams that we've seen them play against, yes, they set up the kind of rematch of the finals with NRG. However, in that particular game, I have no idea what NRG was doing in terms of trying to like draft, because basically what we saw Cloud9 do was draft basically like a siege composition with Varus and Azir. They have really strong split push with the Udyr top. They looked much more prepared than a lot of teams in the West for that pick that we've seen kind of come up in Korea in particular over the last couple of weeks. And then they get the Viego, which allows them to get resets off of some of the engage and single target damage that they have. They get pressure in top and mid almost instantly, get the 6 Void Grubs, and then devastate NRG, right? It felt like NRG really didn't have any kind of agency in this game because they were losing and getting the push in mid and top against them so hard that this is the problem with best of ones, is that it just felt kind of doomed, and there wasn't any follow-up games to dissuade us that was going to be the case. And then 100 Thieves, you're dealing with some rookies on this roster, and also they see 100 Thieves sees Varus Karma and thinks to themselves, yes, into Senna Nautilus, and thinks, yes, now is the time to play Nocturne while bot lane is going to get shoved down our throat the entire game. And so they can invade us at will, and then Nocturne River never, ever, ever, ever gets to do anything, right? So
love Nocturnes that never get to ult. It's my favorite shit of all time, mate.
Yeah, I mean,
like some fucking fucked up BDSM shit. What are you doing that for?
And Cloud9 fans would be like, oh, Monty, you're not giving them credit for what they did do. No, they snowballed both of these games really well. Like, I want to give Cloud9 credit here. You can only play against what's given to you. But the problem is that they had such pressure and agency from the start of both of these games that it was, I mean, their opponents just kind of fell over and died, right? So I don't know what we can learn really about Cloud9, at least at international level, because we expect them to be dominant domestically with this roster. Jojopyun is a massive upgrade off of M&S last year. We talked about this when it was before it happened. Jojopyun, as EG is exploding, he definitely should go to Cloud9. He's going to be the hottest free agent, obviously, because he's the best mid laner, and he's a native mid laner, which is very important for roster construction. Vulcan going back makes sense, returning to the team. Remember, Vulcan left in the first place because he didn't have good synergy with Sven, and he didn't want to play with Sven anymore. Yes. And so it wasn't that Vulcan was bad. It was that they had to pick between the two of them. They picked Sven. Now we're here. Berserker and Vulcan are the new bot lane instead of Berserker and Sven after Sven role swapped. So do you keep Fudge? Apparently the answer is yes. Fudge has been playing fine, but it was never the domestic performances of Fudge that we had concern about. It was what happens internationally. This roster, we don't know, obviously, 2 games in how they're going to compete internationally. But they have, my point is that they have encountered such a small amount of resistance to this point in time that it's hard for me to get a read on exactly how good they are.
Bro, I'll tell you something really disturbing. If you go onto Reddit, there's barely any threads about LCS games. The fuck? Dude, there's none. Like, it's all just LEC and LPL and LCK. What the fuck?
Oh, they delete them after like 24 hours of them being up. They don't delete them.
Enough, okay.
They hide them so they don't take over the front page. Okay, so I think because we're a little far out from the LCS game, they try and declutter, which is fine. You can access all the threads from like
you can just search
Leaguepedia. Right? Like Leaguepedia has links to the threads, or esports. The LoL esports VODs Reddit has them. Sorry. My bad.
Okay.
If you go to LOL event VODs on Reddit, they will have the Reddit threads links next to the VODs.
All right, cool.
If you are curious. But yeah, Cloud9 looks great is the answer. We expected them to look great. The only real question was, who's going to follow whom? Is Blabber going to be the one calling the shots and like being the focal point that the team plays behind, or is it going to be Jojopyun? And so far it's kind of been Blabber. But we'll see how that synergy develops. It hasn't looked like there are a lot of big issues.
No, I mean, like I say, I'm not the biggest Fudge fan. It's not even going to matter on this team. This team sucks fucking dynamite. And top lane's not even that strong a fucking role in anyway. So I actually think this team just looks like that. They look like the obvious favourites to just run the league. Like, there's no reason this team. And by the way, the cool thing is, because of some of the players they have, this team actually maybe could do something internationally. Like, they have the pieces for it at least. Like, you look at the difference is you've solved nearly all your problems from last year. Meanwhile, I'll give you an example, Monty. Even though, yes, remember, technically NRG did obviously change. Ignar used to play for them, who now obviously is over in Europe, and they obviously now have Huhi from Golden Guardians, but not like an enormous change. It's a fundamental support change, but even so, you could even argue that maybe brings shot calling elements. NRG, in my opinion, winning was a symptom of how bad LCS was. So my problem is, it's obvious this team shouldn't be the best LCS team. There's no hate on them. It's still a good squad. But the difference is, Monty, I think in a healthy LCS, this is like your third or fourth best team. Yes. It's like in that sort of range. Like, Agreed. You want it to be Cloud9's on top, hopefully FlyQuest's really good, maybe Team Liquid's legit. Like, then you can, if you have an NRG, then now you got a healthy league. Like, because if you look at the players, it's no hate. Just look, people like Dorkler shouldn't be the best team. Fair play. He's actually turned his career around. He's become a viable player. He can be above average sometimes. These aren't the best players, though. You look at the quality in, like, the Cloud9 team especially. They're not only a good team, they have the fucking players, mate. Like, they have exactly, like, that is almost like an NA super team of LCS players. Like, that's mega. That's actually a mega team.
We talked about this coming in. Like, obviously, they did, as far as I know, Cloud9 did try to get Wonder, and Wonder said no.
I would have been too, yeah.
But I think Wonder would have been the upgrade to this team that really makes it, like, very good, because he can weak side so effectively, and he's such a great veteran presence. And you had the ability to bring another import into this roster because you have 3 North American players there. But Fudge, if he can play more, if they don't need him as much, then perhaps he can do something. If we get into a competition where top lane is very, an international competition where top lane is very crucial, and top lane is very crucial in the meta right now, guys. It is very, very crucial, much more impactful than AD carry as things stand. I think Cloud9 will have trouble, because there's no way that, given Fudge's previous international performances and the way this team is going to play, that they are going to, be able to hang with, like, the best Chinese and Korean top players.
No. I mean, you can argue fucking top lane ran this last Worlds, like Zayas, Bane, the Shy. Like, these were the guys smurfing all the games and fucking carrying the matches for the teams, yeah.
Yeah, and it's top lane's very impactful right now. We see a lot of, like, massive top lane games at the moment. It's much harder to affect top lane, which means that individual skill in top lane, as a jungler, because of the changes to the map, which means that individual skill in top lane actually snowballs harder now than it used to, because it's more difficult to, like, stop somebody from winning in top, or to really, like, change the balance of power up there. So it's tough. And it's fun if you like top lane players, which I definitely do. Like, I think these are really good changes to League of Legends, the professional scene, particularly because it empowers, like, carry top laners and, like, amazing top lane players in a way that the game hasn't in a while.
That Rich's Wrath made. It was a joke, but it was also actually a funny piece of analysis. He actually said that it is ridiculous that Alfari doesn't play anymore, because essentially they've made top lane his dream. Like, he'd never be able to gank the fucker. He'd just be perma outlaning you, wouldn't he? Like, on an island. That's actually would be his dream fucking game, wouldn't it? It really would be.
Maybe he'll make a glorious return.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.